Shin Matsunaga's Custom Zaku 2. Hey, what's up again everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, gundam.tk, and Char's Zaku 2 is very appropriate except for the fact that it was actually animated, unlike Shin Matsunaga's Mobile Suit Variation here. His Custom Zaku 2, let's go see what this white wolf is up to. In terms of the parts here, as the plates are all emptied there and the majority of the seals are put on, you'll see the weapons here, the very cool high mobility legs down there, one disassembled, waist and chest together there to go along with the deckled up arms. And in terms of the extras there, it's mostly going to be manipulators with a few extra parts, including a commander's fin that you could swap off. I always say that SD Gundams live and die by their head sculpt, and for high mobility Zaku variations, I'm going to say that it has to be based on the legs. The backpack, well, that's key too, but you're going to see this one so much more. So first of all, just in terms of plain looks and colors, I'd say it looks fantastic down here, as you've got this light gray to go along here, some light gray seals, darker inner frame gray there to go along with the thrusters there, and they do give you lots of lining and seal opportunities here to put on to go along with the black piping over there. In terms of mobility, well, you're going to be able to rotate this part up here ever so slightly, but not all that much. You'll see that there's a little bit of pressure there. And the bend, though, somewhat disappointing as it bends down like this and then like this. You're not even going to get 90 degrees, so real great articulation. It is not, despite the fact that it is still going to look good, as you've got the cover moving up slightly and some frame there on the inside. This part here isn't going to have any problems with the bend there, as it's just going to be sitting there freely up in the top. But when you take a look down here at the bottom, they give you lots of good channels there, so you can go ahead and put in, I just went with gray lining there. And this gray seal makes a huge difference in terms of visual impact here. It's got the lines already built into it, lines underneath if you want to go line it up yourself, and a few slits on the side so you can actually handle the curvature. It hasn't come off though, so that's a big plus there. Some more little gray parts there, and this white part here is actually going to be attached on separate from the main bulk of the body. So that means that you could have color variations there for some of the other ones. Some of these marking seals, I just put them, I think this one's supposed to be on the back, and I put it on the side to make it more visible. But little pluses here, like the piping, it is going to be in the back, so it's going to be hidden, but at least they're putting in all these extra efforts to go along with the thrusters down here. And the feet themselves, well, you're not going to get too much mobility as they are just one flat part here. But they are going to do a good job of moving front and back and up and down and off to the side, looking good, especially when you add on the 573 marking seal. Walter White seal here on the other leg, which is looking good, and you can see the ankle mechanism here, which is going to give you a big range of movement in terms of the actual ankle joint and nothing whatsoever in the foot. So when you attach this on down here, then it's time to take this part up here. You can see the way that this is going to attach in with the black piping. So you can go ahead, take this, just turn that inside there, then you can come and plug it in up here before attaching everything down here together. Chest and waist section here is going to be together, as you do have custom front skirts there. You're going to be throwing out the regular one there. So he adds that little wolf fang effect here on the sides. They are not going to be independent. They're going to move up and down like that. And the side skirts themselves, I'm actually surprised here. This is pretty decent for HGUC, that you are still going to get a little bit of separation down there. Simple lining down at the bottom and a straight line down the side. You can actually take the weapons and the ammo packs and add them on there. But it's going to be the chest and the backpack that garners most of the attention here. First of all, I'm a big fan of just the way this gray offsets the white there. I went with the gray lining there on the inside. You can notice that I've got some pretty ugly stuff over there. So you may just want to line in and up and just sort of skip the outside. Marking seals there, dark gray up there to go around the neck. And then that nice black piping there is going to be very visible here. The shoulders, these are actually a separate piece that sit on top of the polycap there. Haven't had any problems with them falling off, and I'm hoping it stays there. But check out this backpack here. Lining opportunities, all sorts of fins and funnels sticking around all over the place. If it wasn't made primarily out of seals, I'd be a massive fan of this. So of course that's a reason why you'd want to look at the master grade. The funnels down here, they are going to be moving here, the thrusters. And when you put on these seals, it's one large part around the top and a smaller one around the bottom. And then just a single one to go around these. But that red seal up at the top is looking good. And he can go and take off his backpack and hang it up here on his wall when he comes home from school. Zaku arms are Zaku arms, but they are going to be giving you some cool differences down here. First of all, starting with his right shoulder, where you're going to be throwing away the regular front part here, and this one actually has indented little lines with some lining opportunities there on the inside. Of course, you'd want to paint it up in gold or yellow first, but I've just gone ahead and put on the seals there. This is where you're going to attach on the Zaku shield, and for mobility, what are you going to get? Well, a little over 90, but nothing fancy in terms of the bend mechanism. It's going to look simple and yet still looks good. You've got the nice gray back here, which is going to be hidden, and marking seals here. I'm a big fan of just putting this blue on here, as it's going to go very well with the other shoulder, as you'll see in a moment. Lining down here, it's always unfortunate that they're just going to put the seal, or the breakpoint here between the two parts right down the middle. It's going to cause some problems if you don't line it ahead of time. But custom to Shin Matsunaga, don't be thinking Wolverine here, as there's 4 instead of 3. Nonetheless, it's a nice plus that you're going to be getting quite a few of these, and it has a nice offset here with the dark gray. The marking seals are going to show here when they're on these, but it's always nice to be putting them on flat surfaces as opposed to round ones there. Wolf up there, and again a 573 to go down and complement the feet. And you can just take this and plug this in on the shoulder. And in terms of mobility, well, it's going to rotate this way and hardly this much in and out. The other arm is much the same, except if you take a look up at the shoulder here, instead of having a shield mount, it's time for this all-important shoulder piece, which is going to disappoint for a lot of reasons here, but pretty much everything is as expected. First of all, in terms of the edging down there, just the gray lining I think is going to look really good there, but the whole point of Shin Matsunaga is that he's going to have this very cool left shoulder here with a big blue stripe down there, as we've got another wolf on there. However, if you think about just how many rounded surfaces this is supposed to be going over, the fact that it's on this well at all is unfortunate. I built this up a day ago, and then here's the review. The only thing is that this part here, I would have been, at the time, I was fussing with it and trying to put it down, using a Q-tip, running it over and over again. And just before the review, though, I did nothing to fix it up. So after 24 hours, this is what yours will probably look like as well, unless you're better at putting on these seals or you know some more tricks. But just the fact that it's got to be sitting over this raised part here, and that the edge here is going to look a little bit hexagonal, that's going to be poor there. It's already popping up on the inside. It is a plus, though, that you are going to have this white horn here attach on separately. So you basically just, there's a small circle there that's just going to be popped out. Then you go ahead and add this white part on there. But no matter what you do with these rounded parts here, they are going to want to pop up, and they're going to pop up in the most awkward places. And because of that, unless you get it ready just before the showtime, it's something that over time on your shelf is going to end up looking ugly, and something you may want to paint or try to find an alternative for. Before looking at the individual weapons, I just wanted to show you how it's going to look attached onto the shoulder, and it's a little bit unfortunate. I've got this on backwards right now, as you'd want to have the heat hawk here going to be forward, with the rifle over here just going to be on the other side. The bazooka is going to fit in there all right, but something you've got to be very, very careful of is that you're supposed to take this big gray piece of plastic which fits on here quite tightly and slide it over this nice 573 decal. I was able to do it once, and it only went out of place. It just sort of got tilted off to the side somewhat. Unfortunately, it's the kind of thing that you're not going to want to do too often. Otherwise, put this on, then put the seal on, then add the weapons. Otherwise, if you try to do it on and off, I think you're going to end up with a pretty ugly result of a mashed up seal down below. Sadly, Zaku weapons are Zaku weapons here, as you've got the machine gun, which is going to be looking, well, pretty simple and gray. You're just going to have this part down here, which is going to be moving, and you've also got the scope here that you can move up and down. Nothing fancy there, as they didn't give you any seals or anything to put on the inside, which comes across as being a little bit unfortunate. But in terms of the extra ammo pack, you can take this and swap this off up here, and you can attach that on to the side skirts, and you do get 2 of these. Bazooka, very similar here, as it's going to be very simple in terms of coloring and styling. You can move this part up and down about 90 degrees. This part's going to move 180, and down here for the handle, they've already been advertising that hopefully it's going to actually work, as you can have this part move down, so it's going to get into place properly, and we'll see if this is going to have any help when it attaches into the hand itself. And the plain old heat hawk here, no colors, no differentiation, just one solid piece. Nonetheless, it's molded pretty well, but it's the kind of thing that you're probably not going to pull out unless you want to get out the old purple and yellow paint. But though the weapons may be disappointing, well, take a look at this face here. Absolutely simple, classic, and cool looking all together there. You can see that it's going to have some separation there, as it's just going to be a top and bottom part that you put on here. The black piping looks fantastic. You take this white piece and then drop it onto the front there. A little bit of gray lining there on the inside, and if you take a look here, you can take this part and move it left and right, which is going to take the iconic mono eye and move it this way, and here you've got a cool looking squared version of the commander's fin, and you can swap it off for the more classic one, but this is the one that fits Shin best. A mix of good and bad here, taking the parts and putting them all together here. I've got to say that I absolutely love the legs. Yes, they're not perfect in terms of posability, but the looks, they look a high mobility, which is what you really want here. Backpack, tons of details built in. Yes, it's going to come from seals, but they're going to be hidden in the back anyway. Everything about the body, I'd say, is going to look fantastic. The real weakness is just going to come in terms of the dull old weapons that we've had for 10 years, and the seals part, which I don't know if there was anybody who expected anything better for putting on this part here on the shoulder. Nonetheless, it's all about how it looks when it's all put together. So stick around for the next part to see the mobile suit, and as always, let me know what you think of this with a comment down below. Thanks for watching, everybody, as the White Wolf continues. Now I'm doing mecha right. Remember that you did see it, and it did look good for a very short time.